The Conductor software tool is for executives and leaders of sales or operations who want to improve psychological safety in order to make positive commercial impact in their organisation. Why is it important, and what is psychological safety? Well, first, many organisations focus on employee engagement, but we've known for some time that there's almost no evidence that any measures of engagement are valid or reliable. We do not really know what engagement means. There are 6 different definitions and measures. We do not know how to measure it. For example, some tools are cumbersome, taking more than an hour to complete. We don't know what its outcomes are. We don't know what drives it up. For example, you rarely get actionable insight after measuring it. And organisations spend millions on engagement programs, and yet their scores remain abysmally low. That suggests it's not working. Google, Gallup and Harvard have shown psychological safety is a critical leading factor in resilience, productivity, safety incidents, absenteeism, innovation and profit, and it leads employee engagement. Psychological safety, or team dynamics, describes people's perceptions of the consequences of speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or making mistakes. When it is low, people don't innovate and they cover up errors. Because the silence of low psychological safety is invisible, it's inconspicuous when it's absent. Only by measuring it can you see the invisible silence in your workplace, and then you can begin to understand how to improve it and business performance. Conductor is a tool that measures psychological safety in your organisation, correlates it with and quantifies the value of improving it against your financial KPIs, and shows you actionable insight on how to improve it. It's a decision support tool. It identifies improvement opportunities. It assigns a value to them so you can target support where it will maximise the impact and the return on investment. And you can track the trends over time. The assessment can be completed in less than 4 minutes, so you get high employee involvement. The demonstration database that I'm about to take you through is anonymised real-life data from a retail client. They had 70 locations and about 800 staff responded, scoring on a scale of 0 to 100. The home screen has 2 menus of interest. The first is Settings, where you use wizards to set up the customized elements of each assessment. You can define here the organisation, the respondents, demographics, and your KPIs. And the dashboard, where you access all the reports. The short demo introduces only a subset of the many reports and analytics available. The first one we'll look at is the distribution overall. The report shows the percentage of respondents in each decile for overall psychological safety. These are the grey bars. And it shows the leadership influence, the purple bars. The most important thing that you can draw from looking at this is that although the company hires and onboards and trains and leads in the same way, for each team there is a wide distribution of psychological safety scores, and a significant number are just, well, dreadful. 52% of the organisation have scored psychological safety below the 70% desirable threshold. 67% of the employees have rated their leaders between 0 and 70 as well. These staff have supervisors that contribute to them feeling psychologically unsafe. The KPI potential report, the next view, shows the potential value by location if the location were to improve the selected KPI to the best benchmark within the organisation. It also overlays the 4 quadrants of psychological safety and accountability in the matrix that you see represented in quadrants 1, 2, 3 and 4. Quadrant 1 has high psychological safety, high accountability and good performance. Quadrant 2 has low psychological safety, high accountability, reasonable performance, and we know that this is the anxiety and high turnover quadrant. Quadrant 3 has low psychological safety, low accountability, and poor to, well, awful performance. And Quadrant 4 has reasonable to high psychological safety, but low accountability and low to, well, in some instances, again, awful performance. The teams in this quadrant represent the low-hanging fruit, where an improvement in accountability can be quickly translated to results. The other thing to notice about this chart is that any coloured circle provides additional detail, specifically the location name, the current KPI, and the potential revenue value that can be realised from increasing that KPI to equal the best performing benchmark location in the business. So if I put the pointer over the largest blue circle, you can see it's Copenhagen, and there is a potential $966,096 per year revenue improvement. Conductor identified a conservative potential to increase revenue by 15% or around 22 million for this organisation. One can also view this data in the KPI potential table, where the aggregate quadrant values become clearer. The score sheet reports the full detail for each leader and location. This helps you to determine what actions you need to take and outcomes to track for each team and leader. For each team, the report shows the overall score, the leadership influence score, and the score for each statement in the survey, ranked by score from best to worst and grouped into categories A, B, and C. It also identifies the statistical correlation with the KPIs. This particular client decided they would improve psychological safety first. Within 120 days, they realised a 14.3% increase in conversion ratio, and that translated to 21.3 million increase in revenue. The gains continued after that. When we assessed the psychological safety again 120 days later, we saw that even the best teams were doing better as they had improved psychological safety. Everyone in the organisation got better. Organisations are not consistently thinking about and acting upon what builds strong team dynamics and psychological safety, the things that are the foundation of organisational performance. And because they don't measure psychological safety, it's a blind spot.